Meantime, we did promise an update out of Hill Country in Texas, an area that has been devastated as well, but for a different reason. We've been following in recent days the flooding out there. And as we mentioned, we do have a live report coming to us. We have Matt Doherty with our affiliate out in Texas. You're just outside of that San Antonio area, joining us from hard-hit Kerrville, where I understand you're just now getting some updates from emergency officials out there. What can you tell us about the latest as far as who they might still be looking for, where unfortunately the death toll is standing at this time, and what's left as far as rescue and recovery for folks out there?
Yeah, Vanessa, this search is still well underway right now. There's 10 kids as of last update that are still missing. One camp counselor from that camp, that's that side of it. We heard earlier this morning at least 80 bodies have been found so far. We're here at this command center. We got here about half an hour ago. This is our first time that we've come here. We've been over the past couple of days kind of touring the devastation, watching the search on the ground. I'll tell you, one of the concerns that some of these search crews are sharing with us today is the weather. So we are on day 5. This is the 5th consecutive day that the Hill Country, specifically this area, has been on a flood watch. So they're really concerned that perhaps in the next hour, 2, 3 hours, storms could start coming again and potentially cause what they're calling catastrophic flooding. Hopefully that isn't going to happen again, but that was an issue that thwarted some of the search efforts yesterday when some of the search crews in some of the hardest hit areas down on the banks of the river had to evacuate suddenly just because the river started rising again.
Yeah, really scary stuff to see. And of course, all of us, elsewhere in the country have been thinking of your community out there and just really hoping for the best outcome. I understand that you're native to the Houston area. And so I'm just kind of curious, someone who is from Texas and that particular kind of area of Texas. I mean, what can you say as far as, how often something like this happens? I mean, this looks absolutely devastating, but from what I understand, it's not completely unheard of in the entire historic context of this area of Texas.
No, I mean it's not. If you you read the books and you watch the movies and stuff, no, you know that this is something that the people here deal with. I will tell you, yes, I am from Houston, live in Houston, but my family has a ranch not too far from here in the Hill Country, and I grew up there every summer basically, and I'll tell you, never had any concerns about the flooding or anything like that. An interesting point, when you talk about the history of this, I know it's kind of loud right now. We have a helicopter landing right now. That's the lieutenant governor in that chopper there. He was going for a tour. When you talk about the history, my dad pointed this out to me the other day. So in James Michener's book, Texas, he writes a lot about the floods and how the early settlers had to deal with that. And I'm not totally sure how the ground is in your area, but in Houston, there's several layers of topsoil and clay, and they're able to absorb a lot of that water when you get that heavy saturation in one area for a long period of time. Here, it's very different. They have a couple layers of topsoil, but then under that, it's limestone. So it's my understanding that once the ground is saturated, the water doesn't have anywhere to go, and because of the topography here and the hills, it just if you're down by the banks of the river, you're at the bottom of the soup bowl, and that's where it all goes.
Wow. Really interesting insights. I'd never heard, it described that way, that area. So, I mean, I think that really does kind of give us a little extra context to the situation and how the weather impacts can, turn like that when you have relentless, rain and you have the flooding that just starts to take hold. So I heard you mention the fact that there are still flooding alerts for the area. How concerned are officials, in your conversations with them today? Do they really feel like this is going to hamper things? Are they concerned that this might make the situation even worse? What are they telling you?
That's the thing, they don't know, and they're I think a little bit leery about making any types of predictions right now. When you see the emergency alerts come up on our phones or whatever, I mean, they sound alarming. I spoke with some of the locals in one of the harder hit areas yesterday. It's a town called Hunt, and he was asking me, what are we supposed to think? Does this alert mean that it's going to be a flood where there's going to be 2 inches of rain? Or are we talking about 15 feet plus coming at us with a surge? There's no more information other than get to high ground, potential catastrophic flooding. The language makes it sound very alarming in these alerts, and nobody knows what to think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be watching to see, from afar and thinking of y'all, and hopefully everything will turn out okay. I did want to, ask you about what you're hearing from folks who are, in the communities. Maybe if you or some of your colleagues out there have been going on the ground and speaking to the community members themselves, are they telling you, what they need? And I ask in the context of, we have groups from our area here in Charlotte who are actually en route to Texas right now to try to help. So I'm just curious if you're hearing, hey, we need water. Hey, we need donations of this, XYZ. Is any of that kind of, top of mind, as far as the donations that you're able to tell us?
I arrived on Saturday, and so this happened overnight on the 4th of July, which was the day before. So when I got to the scene in one of these devastated areas, I mean, there was so much food and so many supplies and people coming and bringing things. So I can tell you anecdotally, just being there, they look to be in good shape in the area that I was looking at. The official response to that will be from some of these elected officials are to go, number one, to the Salvation Army primarily, and also they have, and I don't have the website off the top of my head right now, but they have a website set up that has some of these vetted organizations that will be, I guess, purchasing some of these supplies and items that people might need on their own, but they're recommending monetary funds as the best way that people can help right now most efficiently, I guess.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Makes sense for sure. I guess as far as going through the rest of the day, is there anything that you're keeping an eye out for that we should know? For example, you referenced the fact that there was a helicopter that was going by and you thought that was the lieutenant governor. Are you expecting any new briefings coming in the next several hours, or any formal updates that have been scheduled?
Yes, so that's what everybody's going to be waiting on, is the daily update that they're going to have tonight at 6 o'clock here Central Time. So during this daily update, what they're going to tell us is basically all the progress that these search crews have made throughout the day. There's still a lot of people who are unaccounted for, a lot of families back in Houston who still have relatives who are missing, and they haven't found them, they haven't identified them. So tonight is when we're going to get, that latest death toll, and also the number of unidentified bodies that they have not been able to match a name with, and also how many people that they know for sure that they've been able to confirm who are still out there missing. I'll tell you one, before I left Houston on Friday to come out here, I interviewed a woman in Houston whose sister, who's about 60 years old, her husband, their adult son, his wife, and their 5-year-old little girl had come out to the river to go camping in their RVs for the 4th of July weekend, and they're still missing. They're still missing. As far as we know, 5 years old, the 5-year-old girl, she will be possibly the youngest victim out of all of this. It's horrific.
Yeah, I mean, just the scope and just some of the personal stories too, that we're hearing out of this. It breaks your heart. And once again, we are thinking of you all there in Texas. And Matt Doherty, we appreciate your reporting. Anything you want to leave us with before we wrap things up? I know you're busy.
No, I think we covered it pretty much. It's just, it's as a reporter, when you get down to this scene and you talk to these families, and I mean, it just hits. You know what I mean? It's these are, little girls, little girls who are asleep in their bunk beds at camp. It's just indescribable.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, one of the headlines that's striking folks, so hard is just hearing about that girls' camp, and whether you're a parent and you've sent your kids off to camp, or, you're a person who has gone to a camp before and you remember going away and the excitement that brought, and to know that this happened for them, I mean,
Right.
it breaks your heart for sure. All right. Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us here on Live Impact News. Let us know if you hear anything else. Otherwise, we'll let you go to gather more information. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Vanessa.